Let's hear from the mayor, Rt Rybak.
Returns in, so we're not going to have luck, but I did want to say a couple of things first. First off, I'd love, some of the council members have begun coming in, and I'd love you to come forward. Could I also, just before we start, I want to, for a point of privilege, say hello to a very good friend of mine in the audience here today, who I hope someday will be occupying the seat of Michelle Bachman. Terrell Clark is here. I want to talk to you a little bit about what we have seen in the city of Minneapolis. And I want to tell you about a moment a couple of weeks ago. It was one of those incredibly depressing days. You know, it's been raining for so long. And it was a terribly depressing day. It was a dark day, and my job that day was a tough one. I was going to the workforce center. This is the place where people go when they lose their job. So here I was, on a very dark day, on a rainy day, in the middle of the worst economic catastrophe since the Depression, and I'm going to a place where people have lost their jobs. And I found something there that I didn't expect to see, and something that we have not seen enough of these days. I walked into that workforce center and I saw hope. What I saw inside that room were people who had lost their jobs, but they were people who were not alone. There was a man there who was an engineer who'd been out of work for 6 months, but that day he was starting a new job. There was another man who was starting a job the following week. There was a mother there whose family was dependent on her income, and she was out of work, but she was close to getting a job, and more important, she knew she wasn't alone, because there in that workforce center, every day she came and she found other people who held her up, who helped her find a resume, who helped her network, and each of them could look in each other's eyes and recognize they weren't alone. There, in the worst possible circumstance, you could find hope. And if that was all I saw in this city over these past few years, it would be impressive. But I walked out that door, and I looked up at a building, the second biggest building in the state of Minnesota, that just a few years ago was vacant, the Sears building. A few years ago it was filled with bat dung, and it was empty and vacant, and we asked a man named Dick Pettengill, the new CEO of Alina, to move his business in there. And he said yes. And today there is hope in that building on the ground floor at a global market that has investment opportunities for immigrants and people from all parts of our community. And in that area I found hope. And to the right was a neighborhood that I knew very well. We used to call it Murderapolis. And I know it very well, unfortunately, as a place I went when a young girl named Taisha Edwards had died while doing her homework at her desk just a few years ago. And today, that neighborhood is dramatically safer today, and youth violence is far lower than it ever was, and I found hope there. And I looked the other way. And down there I saw Chicago Avenue, our life science corridor that's coming to life with the new Children's Hospital, with Abbott Northwestern employing more people than ever from the neighborhood. And you can go further into North Minneapolis, and you can see the Riverside coal plant that just a few years ago was churning out coal that had asthma rates in that area sky high. And there I saw hope, and you can go one by one by one by one throughout this city and find hope. But what is so powerful about each of those stories of hope that I see, and each of you who've done so much work can see too, is that in none of those cases is that done by one person, by one politician, by one individual. It is done because this city, in the toughest of times, has found a way for us to come together. Here in dark times, this is a city that has found hope. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, everyone in Minneapolis, for making this a beacon of light in the most difficult of times. We should feel so good, and I want you to feel good. With our politics. And we've done something unique tonight, because this isn't Rt Rybak standing up here alone, or an individual council member or a park board member over there. For the first time in a couple decades, we are running as a united DFL in this city, a group of people who've done a lot, some newcomers to Florida, and we are more united than we have ever been in this city of Minneapolis. Thank you for that work. And thanks for that. see many, many people, but Bill McCarthy, where are you tonight? Are you here? And Dan McConnell, we thank Dan McConnell for doing phenomenal work. Today, and we saw hundreds and hundreds of volunteers going out of that, and the work in North Minneapolis and public housing and everywhere else bringing the city together. You have done that, and that is incredibly important. And to be able to run together with one of the most remarkable city councils anywhere, thank you so much, City Council, Betsy Hodges, I see you here, Robert Reinhold, John, I also want to say personally that all of this happens for me as I get to stand up because there happens to be someone standing next to me who is rarely the one who's up here with me. But from the very beginning of all of this, when she said, isn't it about time you stopped talking about that dream you have and actually run for mayor, there has been an amazing person who has been at my side, who has been an incredible inspiration for the work that I have done, and many of you have got to know her, and she's going to get really embarrassed that I say this, but can you thank my incredible wife, Megan O'Hara? Kind of a difficult election day, I have to tell you, because from the beginning this has been a family affair. I don't know how many of you remember our little kids, Charlie and Gracie, when 10 and 12, when we began this little adventure. And they have been with us through all of it. They are now both off at college. And so it's a little hard for us to go to the polls today. However, this was the first time that both of them could vote for us. So I am thrilled to have that. And when Charlie told me who he voted for second, I had to laugh, but that's another story. It was an awesome vote on his part. We want to thank all of them for doing it, but you know, tomorrow we go back to work. And we have a lot in front of us. We have had a very focused agenda, and it will remain focused. The first and foremost is to make sure every block in this city is a safe place to call home. Thank you for lowering crime, double digits for 3 years in a row. Thank you for lowering juvenile crime, 40%. Thank you for helping the jobbers, only the rich. And now all our job is to make sure that we go through the relationships to tell the reason we have to make it go. Thank you for the phenomenal work that we have done together on jobs, totally erasing the unemployment gap between city and suburb. Thank you for helping us bring these employers to town. Thank you for the 2% loan program that has small businesses starting on commercial corridors, but we have so much work to do as we move forward in a clean energy economy, as we move forward with biotechnology and the great innovations from the University of Minnesota, as we move forward in the new food economy. This will always be a city of opportunity, so we have a tremendous amount to do. And thank you for your work on transportation. We have built that first light rail line. The bus rapid transit is now beginning to be implemented down 35W and into the heart of our city. We have 3 light rail lines to plan now. And we will make this the #1 light city. We have a tremendous amount of work to do, but I want to make it really simple for you. If anybody asks what is the mayor up to, the mayor is doing 2 things right now. We are creating jobs and we are helping kids. That is the agenda, that is our focus, that is where we need to be. I want to finish by quoting my minister. She's a remarkable person, Reverend Mary Ann Buddy, and she gives remarkable sermons every time. This time she gave a great quote that I love so much, and it's from Niebuhr, and she said, "Nothing worth doing can be achieved in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope." I want you to think a bit about that. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. And think about nothing that is worth doing can fully be done in our lifetimes. Think about that in the context of this amazing city that we are in. That is the value that was brought to the city of Minneapolis when people came to the only natural waterfall in the Mississippi and decided that they would make sure that this would be a place of great opportunity, and they created the milling capital of the world. And when the people from those mills said they would build a lifetime of opportunity and build great corporations and small businesses. And those businesses and small opportunities created middle-class neighborhoods and strong opportunities for people. And a community that's the #1 volunteer community in the country. And that has the most amazing arts community. None of these things were done with people of small visions. And when they saw the greatest natural environment of any city in America, they built the greatest park system of any city in America. We stand on amazingly strong shoulders of people who not only held people up, but allowed them to look forward. We have a lot of work to do tomorrow, but we have tremendous opportunities in this future. So what I ask you to do is sit with me over these next few days and do the work we have to do, but also do what people in Minneapolis have always done, which is to look to the horizon for inspiration and know that this great city on the edge of the prairie has always been a place where vision begins. Thank you for this tremendous opportunity to be here today. Thank you so much. I want to bring up some of my friends to the City Council. I want to bring them all up now. Becky Hunter, come on up here. Gary Flip, Robert Rybak, John Stellmacher.
I've been representing Ward 13 unofficially. I hope to do so for another 4 years, and I'm proud to be part of this team.
All right.
Hi, my name is Don Samuels. Peter said that based on the changes and achievements we've had in the 5th Ward, I should be a shoo-in for the position. That's not how things work on the north side. It's not how things work on the north side yet. We're in a transformation, we're in a time of change, and I'm proud to be and happy to be, grateful to be part of that transition and that change. We're holding our ground, and the rest of my council peers and the mayor have come behind me and the people of North Minneapolis and demonstrated that with their help, we can make a big difference. We can be acknowledged nationally as a safe place to be while our bond rating stays healthy and while we balance our budget. And that people in North Minneapolis can be a priority in our city. So I'm just proud of you, of us, of the city of Minneapolis for how incredibly we have done.
I'm thrilled to say I will continue to be the 6th Ward City Council. Of ranked choice voting, and it was interesting and it was fun and it was a great hook to campaign with. It was the thrust of our whole campaign strategy, and I think that in a big part is responsible for our victory. And I also want us to really realize what we've done this election season through coordinating our efforts and through the coordinating campaign. We were actually able to grow the DFL base within the city of Minneapolis by a measurable percentage that could be the percentage that could deliver a victory to a gubernatorial candidate next year in 2010. We worked together to put a friend in the White House last year. It has made governing within cities and governing within Minneapolis a much better thing, a much happier thing, and I feel like I'm really serving my constituents. I feel like we're all really serving our constituents. If we can get that friendly presence in the governor's mansion in 2010, it will be a happy day to govern in the city of Minneapolis. Thank you.
wasn't too long ago that they said City Hall was a place with a lot of fractious infighting, where people spend more time disagreeing than getting things done. And I think the results tonight show that the people of Minneapolis understand this is a team. This has been a team effort all year long. We share values. And those values start with a D, an F, and an L. They're the DFL values of labor and progress. And these are the values that are going to govern the city for the next 4 years. And I want to introduce the newest member of the team, John Quincy.
I needed to make a special thanks to Dan and the coordinated DFL campaigns. Through that united and coordinated effort, I think we were able to bring a lot of people into the process in this tough time, in this tough year. So I was very excited about that, but I also need to acknowledge and thank my good friend Scott Benson, who I'm proud to succeed.
We'll bring others in as we come. Can I thank one other person here tonight who ran my campaign and who has been a phenomenal expert, Julie Hottinger.
Congratulations. This is great.
Thank you. Thanks
I
so
stuck
much.
a little something in his hand tonight. He'll show you when you get home.
Okay. Did it make its way to his pocket?
I think so.
Excuse me, I got it.
Oh, sure. So what do you know about Reinhold Niebuhr? I kind of like him.
Isn't that amazing? I don't know a lot about Reinhold Niebuhr.
I got to read him
Did you
freshman
love-
year and I ignored him.
Do you remember any quotes from him?
Yes. For about 20 years, he preached this concept that God was beyond the edges of language. He thought that you couldn't describe God with prose, that you had to use art and metaphor to get to certain ideas. And I've ripped him off wholesale on what I think art means to me.
I love that. God is beyond the boundaries
Of words, of prose.
Yes, and you need art.
There's some other concepts, maybe like love, that there's no thing that describes maybe love better than the Moonlight Sonata.
I've decided I need to read Reinhold Niebuhr because he was quoted during Obama's campaign.
Huh.
I love this quote that nothing worthwhile can be achieved in our lifetimes, so we must be sustained by hope.
Sometimes I've been ready to give up personally, and then I think sometimes you still have to shove the rock, and it might move after you're gone.
This is the thing. I mean, that is the truest quote, because if you're trying to do the big stuff and the hard stuff, you're not always going to get there. Look at Martin Luther King.
Yes, but he changed all of our society.
He changed everything. But he said, I might not get there with you, but I, have seen the mountaintop.
I like that imagining thing. That's what I gave your husband.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'll look for it. I'll look for it.
I have a quick question for you about this I've thought about all day.
Okay.
How did you guys meet?
We met as young professionals. I was working for Dayton Hudson, doing public relations. He was working at the newspaper. I had called him about a couple of stories, trying to get him to write about things that I was...
Really? So you start really with politics.
But I didn't meet him in person, and then later we met at a party.
Huh.
And then we fell in love.
It looks kind of cute from my perspective. Well, congratulations, and let's let you relax for a while.